Good morning. How are you? Rev Walter Mwambazi here, and today we are bringing live the 7:30 Mentorship Academy call right from Lusaka, Zambia. I am aware that a number of people do join our call, and not all of them are from this place. So special greetings to you wherever you're watching us from. This is Monday, the 2nd of October. This is the last quarter, Q4. And the big question when we get into a place like Q4 is, what have you done so far? Have you been able to look back and ask yourself, what have I achieved over the last 9 months? And you know, truth be told, if you have been running and doing whatever it is you do and have not taken track or taken stock of what you're doing in order to create for yourself the means by which you can build a future for yourself in terms of setting up all that you need to set up in order to progress, and then taking stock of all that you've done. Where have you reached? What have you achieved? What is still pending? If you've not done any of these things, then you need to have a serious come to Jesus talk with yourself. You need to do a serious assessment, because every single one of us should be at a place where we can do a deep level assessment of what we've done so far and where we want to go. And this is one of the reasons why the Mindset Change program that's run by Sylvia, for instance, serves to do that. It serves to help you be able to ascertain whether you have achieved what you needed to achieve or not. And for a lot of people, I really emphasize that, because I know for a fact that most aren't doing what is required. And so as a result, they feel like they're going around in circles, because if you use what I call superficial markers in your life to determine whether you're progressing or not, or if you look at across at your neighbor to assess whether you're progressing or not, and you don't see what you think are the important things, you start to feel like you're not going anywhere. But the truth of the matter is that if you sit down and begin to break it all down into a very clear and proper way in which you can assess your progress over a given period of time, that makes a massive difference, because what you're doing there now is you are measuring, literally. So of course, we have the standard SMART goals, whose aim and job is to help you ensure that these goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. I know Mindset Change program have the ER as well, and that's twisted it around, but that's the general one. And so the key here is to find out from yourself, have you done what it takes? Are you doing what it takes? Are you progressing? Are you stagnant, or are you retrogressing? And if you think you're stagnant, then the bigger question is, why do you think you're stagnant? So you need a deeper, immersive kind of assessment, a proper one, not a superficial one, to determine if you are progressing or if you're static. And so once you do that, then it's very encouraging, because now you realize, okay, we're making progress, albeit slow, but we're making progress nonetheless. And so now we can get to do, a couple of things and get our act together and what have you, in order to ensure that we get where we want to go to. And I think for me, that's very, very important, because once you do that, then you certainly progress. So here we are. Monday to Friday, we have different settings. Tuesday, we have Sunshine and Mindset Change program. Wednesday, we have the open market, where anyone can come and be part of our program and share their market and product and services. Then Thursday, we have Dr. Nelly with Prosperity for Your Soul, and then Friday, Dr. Jackie with Healthy Tips. So today, I am sinking my teeth into the series that I've been running with for a time now. We call it Managing Your Awareness, 11 critical modern day skills to master today. And this particular one is so important, because it's the one that has been helping a lot of people like you and me to ascertain if we are on track or not. I use these 11 skills because I know they're a life saver, they're a differentiator, they are everything. And if you do these things correctly, it doesn't matter how much things may look like they're progressing or not progressing, just stay the course, just do what it takes, just show up every day and be a professional. I always say this, the difference between amateurs and professionals is amateurs do stuff when they're in the mood, they do stuff when they feel good, they do stuff when they're inspired. That's what amateurs do. So they are always relying on what we call the outward signs. They are always looking for outward inspiration. The problem with that kind of setup is that it doesn't take you anywhere. Because believe me, you think I enjoy coming here every day? No. There are days when I really feel like, I just want to sleep in. I'm not going to do this anymore. There are days you come here and nobody's here, blah, 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 blah. But then you know what? I'm not an amateur. I'm a professional. What's the difference with professionals? Professionals get up and go to work. End of story. That's the professional. Pros do not wait for inspiration. They are the inspiration. Pros do not wait for motivation. They are motivated. Pros do not wait to be inspired. They are inspired. Okay, and all this comes from inside of them, and that's why we say that true professionalism is a function of habit. You know, I think you remember Aristotle's very brilliant quote, which says that excellence is, so you are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit. That's right. So I love that. And so you and I have to get to a place where we're no longer moved by externals. We know that it's Monday, we show up, come rain, come shine. And you know, on whatever you have put as your to-dos, which fall under what we call the HPAs, or high payoff activities, you do those. And then those that don't pay off so high, you delegate or subcontract. That's what you do. And then just show up every day and do what you gotta do. And I assure you, you will succeed in the end. The law of averages states that if you keep doing the right thing often enough, it finally manifests. You know, I love that. Okay, the law of averages. If you keep doing the right thing repeatedly, it ultimately manifests. So repeatedly, often enough, it will show, it will yield, it will bring the result. And I always say this, that just keep depositing into that future account all the activities today and never quit, never stop, just keep on depositing. And I assure you, for as long as you're doing the right thing, so remember there's the plan, do, review triangle. So you plan, that's where mindset change and programs like ours, Unleashing Your Destiny, you can see the details at the bottom there. That's where they come in. You keep depositing, keep planning, make that thing work. Then once you go out there and do it, and when you do it, look at the results and then review and tell yourself, where did you go wrong? Adjust, plan, do. Review, adjust, plan, do, and just keep on at that, and just keep going and keep going. And I assure you, God is my witness, it will yield. It'll have to open up. And if you keep depositing into that future account, there comes a point where there's so much treasure filled in that future account, then all it takes is just one incident, and boom, the flood comes. And then people look and go, ah, he's so fortunate. Oh, she's so blessed. But they forget that you've been relentlessly depositing. So my question to you, are you depositing? And so let's talk about awareness, because that's the other topic that we're handling today. And you know, awareness is part of the 11 topics I've been handling around the issue of how to progress in this day and age of the internet, in this day and age of the digital space, and the fact that so many people have found themselves seriously struggling in this area, because obviously there's so much going on in terms of competitiveness, in terms of knowledge, in terms of insight, in terms of what's going on. And then you've got all these inventions like AI that are completely changing the game. And so the question is, if the terrain is changing, what are you doing to ensure that you don't get left behind? So today we are looking at awareness. And so awareness in its truest and strictest sense is the ability to stay plugged in. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Plugged in. What does being plugged in mean? It means being connected. It means being, locked in to that particular situation, whatever your field or area of expertise is. Are you plugged in? Are you aware of what's going on? And listen to this. If ever there is one thing that is very expensive in terms of progress and getting ahead, it's ignorance. That's right. If you are ignorant, I assure you there's so much that you're going to miss in your life because you're not aware, you're not plugged in. And so I don't talk about education, but I talk in terms of being unaware of what's taking place in your space. So what is your space? I'm talking about your sector of operation, I'm talking about your industry, and I'm talking about your domain. This is what I speak of when I say, are you plugged in or not? Okay, so let me give you a very, very good example. Just a week ago, I think, and Sylvia or Coach Sunshine had on the show about the chair lady of ZAFAWIB. Now, ZAFAWIB is the Zambia Federation of Associations of Women in Business. So Zambia Federation of Associations of Women in Business, something like that. And these guys basically empower. They're a federation of various associations whose function and job is to push the women empowerment agenda. Now, in so doing, because of who they are and because of the kind of laws that and facilities that give them the power to be who they are recipients of so many programs that come through developmental partners. These programs are empowering in terms of education, in terms of consultancy, in terms of actual empowerment with funds. Some of them are matching grant schemes. That's a grant where you raise the money and your benefactor puts the other half. That's a very common method of funding. So for argument's sake, you're looking for 20,000 kwacha, they tell you if you can raise 10, we will pay the other 10. So they do that. These are schemes. It's called the matching grant scheme. Then you've also got other schemes that are available, and all these programs, including empowerment, including how to access CEEC and so many other funds. These guys are always having workshops. They are always having consultants coming in from the EU, from USAID, from DFID, from JICA, from FINIDA, from all manner of developmental partnership vehicles. And then they also have access to NGOs. Now, where am I going with all this? I am saying that there's a number of you right now watching me who are crying, who are bemoaning the lack of support, the lack of financing, the lack of this and the lack of that. And yet, if you were part of ZAFAWIB, if you were plugged in, you would be able to receive a lot of this stuff, because they run applications and they send those out and let all these women entrepreneurs apply, and you will be blown away if I told you right now that the applications are so low. And then here's people complaining, oh, no, there's no funding, oh, that's not enabling. That's because you're in your little cocoon. You need to come out of your cocoon. You need to plug in. And that's what this series I'm now doing. This, when I talk about awareness, that's what I mean. So let me ask you right now, if you're an entrepreneur, are you part of ZACI? Zambia Chamber of Association, Zambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Now, sometimes you don't have to join ZACI directly, but ZACI is an affiliate of chambers of commerce across the 10 provinces. So each province has a chamber of commerce. Are you part of that? Probably not. Now, did you know that ZACI also supports indirectly another body called the Zambia Chamber of Small and Medium Business Associations, called ZACSIMBA? Are you part of that? You see where I'm going? That's what I'm trying to say. If you've been running a manufacturing, the manufacturing is quite heavy, so that one I would expect you're part of Zambia Association of Manufacturers. But you'll be amazed right now if I told you that so many of you watching right now, you're not even part of any association. You don't even know about the associations. You know why associations exist? They exist because they help to be the voice for the little individuals. Because a lot of times government will tell you, they'll say, you know what, you guys, go form an association or go find your association, join, then come as an association. Because as government, we will more likely listen to an association than we would to an individual. And the truth of the matter is that it's not just that. There's also the component you have to understand that it's also the ability to lobby. Lobby is a fancy word for being like a cadre, going to push for an agenda. Now, do you know that to push an agenda effectively, you will do far more when you do it as an association, because you're a group of you. So meaning you have a secretary, you have a treasurer, you have a chairperson, and you have an entire committee in there, or board members. And then each board member also heads or runs or is part of a committee. And then committees have subcommittees. You can be far more organized that way. And if you join an association of that magnitude or size or type or style, you will achieve more in raising your voice and taking that voice out there. And so awareness is a huge thing. Now, there are several ways in which you can, plug in and be part of these associations. And then beyond the associations, there's also what you can do as an individual SME, as an individual person. Maybe you're a consultant, maybe you dream of becoming one, maybe you're getting into whatever field and space you're in, and you really want to, make headway. Step number one, be part of an association. Of course, the difference between, for example, myself and professionals like lawyers or human resource consultants or marketers is that they tend to have an official regulator. So by law, accountants as well, architects, real estate now, they have one very powerful one, which is the regulatory nature. So the difference with these guys is by law, you're required to be a part of those associations. So in a way, you are forced. So that's a good thing. Although I notice a lot of people will become a part of an association and they never bother to check out any correspondence that they get from there. They never bother to find out what are the latest developments. They never attend AGMs. Do you know that AGMs are such a critical part of your field? If you are as a member of ZIM, for example, Zambia Institute of Marketing, or you're a member of ZIPS, Zambia Institute of Purchase and Supply, and you don't attend, or you're a member of Zambia Institute of Human Resource Managers or Management, whatever it is, ZIRIM. If you're not part of these things, so rather, if you're part of these things and you don't attend their AGMs or annual meetings, you have a problem. I'm here to rebuke you, to tell you that that's why you're stagnant. If you are part of these associations and you never bother, you never save money to be part of their annual meetings, well, then whatever is happening to you is on you. Because you see, when you go to those events, the number one, of course, you get briefed with the latest developments. You're like, whatever is going on in your space, many times if they're going to be changing the law, you will be updated. That's one of the areas where a lot of people miss information. That, okay, no, that they're about to change the law or they're pushing a bill. You will find that particular space, there will be a lot of stakeholders who will be in consultative, discussions with government, which is legislature through the MPs or through the ministers or associate ministries. They will do so. And the ministries will also, contact and get in touch with these associations and regulatory bodies in order to ensure that the interests of those players are met. Now, you're not part of those meetings. You never bother to go to Livingston for these things. And then you expect to progress. But here's something else that's even more powerful. When you go to these meetings, you also get to associate because they have, cocktails, they have dinner, the dinner parties. And most importantly, they even have the, what's it called now? The actual meetings or the AGM. So normally they'll have a conference and an AGM. So it starts with the conference. They bring all the top speakers, peers, movers and shakers in your space, and they'll do their thing. They'll talk. And then when they're done with that, then you now have the next phase, which is the AGM. You don't want to miss such things. You want to be part of those AGMs. You want to know who are the leaders in your setup. And the other day I was talking about this in one of those AGMs. I was invited. I can't remember if it's RIM or ZIPS or whichever. Somebody had invited me to Livingston. And I was telling them that when you go to such meetings, the next thing you should do, remember, you are a brand. Now, this is something Dr. Nelly speaks about. This is something Coach Sunshine speaks about. This is something I speak about. When you want to be a brand and to be recognizable, identify movers and shakers in your space and make sure in this day and age you go take a photo with them. Huh? And I've always told people this, perception is a big deal, especially with social media. So make sure you go take a photo. And where possible, ask them to do a photo where you sit on a table and you put some pens and papers there and you look like you're having a conversation. So have one where you face each other and have one where you're looking at the camera. And then, when you post that on your LinkedIn, because that's the space for professionals, when you post on your LinkedIn, you say, having deliberations and examining the various issues affecting. In fact, I like how President Jackson Zimbabwe puts it. He says, met with, president of whatever, where we deliberated on pressing national issues. It just sounds so cool. It's like, there you are, you're discussing the future of whatever your field is. That's what you do, ladies and gentlemen. Don't just go there and, and then the problem with most people is because you're an introvert. I don't want to be seen as if I'm begging. What begging? If you see a mover and shaker, go shake their hand and say, oh, wow, Mr. Peary, Thank you so much for being who you are in our space. I've been following you, I've been observing what you're doing, and I've seen what you're doing for our industry. Thank you so very much. My name, by the way, is Walter Mwambazi, and I'm part of your association. I'm grateful to be here today. By the way, Mr. Piri, would you mind if we also take a photo? I'm just trying to build my little profile, and it's nice to meet people like you. 9 out of 10 will say, no problem, let's do the photo. So you just do the photo, have your friend nearby to do the photo, and then you take those photos and you post them on your profile. You say, having deliberations with the president of whatever your association is. And you see, further, when you're done with us, then go around, walk those tables, meet with people, exchange cards. And by the way, the rule of business cards, make sure your business card is white. A white business card. The most progressive, advanced people tend to have white cards, especially if you're in a conservative, corporate, reserved space. Because there's a difference if you're in the noisy space. What I mean by that is if you're a graphics designer or if you're a musician, yeah, I'd expect your card to be funky looking and chilled and what have you. In fact, most times if you're a famous musician, you don't even move with your cards because it's your manager who does that. But whatever the point is, the card should be white. The card should be blank behind, ideally. You could have a few points, but the card should be just very simple. Don't put your picture there. Don't put, like some people have, 20 companies. So you put all the companies with 17 different telephone numbers. No, it's not a billboard. It's a card. So have 1 or 2 numbers tops. Have your email. And here's the thing on branding. Let your email be a personalized domain. Like me, I have info@revwalter.com. You see what I mean? I have info@destinypeakpro.com. I don't have waltermwambazi@gmail.com. Yes, I have that email, but you'll never see me share it because that's what I call the Chintuwingi email. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry has those emails, and it doesn't show any corporate seriousness on your part. If you're going to call yourself a managing director and you're using a Gmail, email address, not kosher at all. You want to project seriousness. When people see a domain-based email, it tells them these are at another level. And so your card should be simple. You should be able to share it around. It shouldn't have, graphics, pictures, paintings, and all sorts of things on it. It should not be so full. Now, here's the reason why, and please do not laminate your card. I'm going to stress that again. Do not laminate your card. And here's the reason why you don't laminate your card. Because when you laminate your card, you know what people do in these meetings when they go in these big meetings? Yeah, they pick up a lot of cards. And so progressive individuals the following day tend to sit down with those cards, put them on the table, and mark them. Sometimes they do it as they meet people. When you pick up the cards, but it's not the best, but you do it later. They pick up the cards which are most closest and they mark them 1. 1 means immediate contact. Then 2 means, future contact, and 3 means completely irrelevant to their space. So they'll mark them that way. Then they'll zero in on the ones and maybe hand them over to your secretary to say, please contact that person and let them know it was great meeting them, You know what? Or some will pick up a phone, like me. I pick up a phone. Hello, hi, Mr. Rev Walter here. We met at the such and such event, and I'm so grateful we met. Blah, blah, blah. I just thought I should touch base. Oh, great. Oh, wow. So then when that's done, then you get that card, you mark it, and you're done. And by the way, I have an app which can scan the cards as well, so I'll scan it. Now, did you know that if your card is laminated, it's horrendously difficult to scan? I've tried because of the reflection and the ridges. Some of this lamination looks, really funky. It looks great, but it's horrible to scan. When they try to do the scan thing, the OCR or on-screen recognition, whatever it is, can't read the card. And then secondly, trying to mark it 1, 2, it can't mark. Now, some people are old-fashioned, so they don't do instant connection like I do. Some will wait until the following day or until 2, 3 days later. That's when they'll contact. Now, if they can't mark it, they get stuck. And many times when I meet with people, I try and remember what was the most outstanding feature of that individual. So I do mental notes. So, for example, if I met a lady, let me not talk about a lady. It might sound wrong. I met a gentleman, and that gentleman wore a very interesting checkered jacket. So I would write that on the back of my card, checkered jacket. I'll look at the shoes and I'll mark that. I look for anything that stands out, whatever it is. If she had nice looking hair, I'll mark that. And then, when I call them, then in a very professional but positive way, I'll refer to that thing. So let's stick with the man. So checkered jacket. I would go, oh, by the way, Mr. Peary, I still remember, you know, that checkered jacket you wore. Oh man, that was the stuff. You see, now you've just complimented them, and that just boom makes you jump out above the rest, and that automatically sets you apart. And then from there, you try and identify what is it that I can, you know, I can leverage off this person, and what can I bring to the table. So you look at a synergy point, but that's why those cards are the way they are. So when you go to these events, which you must attend, by the way. So if you don't, you know, but the economy is tough, save money. It's your space. Hello, somebody. Did you know that most jobs are on account of referral and reference? Did you know that? And most times that's because John knows Peter. And so when they call, they say, Peter, listen, I'm looking for an HR person. Do you know anyone? Because right now our current one is leaving. Oh, really? Okay, no, actually, there's whoever from wherever. Oh, really? Yes. And then, you know, before you know it, headhunt is done. So when the headhunt is done and they've agreed on what they want, then they just focus now on literally working with that individual. So even if they do an application and all that jazz, it's just for show. But in reality, they focus on that individual they wanted. And that's why I am telling you now that you should be attending those events. And you know, by the way, when you get into these associations, aim to be a volunteer. That's another one I want to kind of stress that. Aim to be a volunteer. What can you bring on the table? Be part of the committee. Be part of the executive. They don't pay you any money, true. But the fact that you are active in there, you are visible. I'm going to say that again. The fact that you're active in there, you are visible. And because you are visible, what's going to happen is people will see you, they will notice you. And that makes a difference, especially if you get into being a giver, if you get into the habit of working and making sure you are part of what's going on, making sure you're volunteering, especially when they have their annual events. You should be one of the people that is seriously involved in that particular setup. Now, if you do that, you will find that people will get quite taken by you, and you are more likely to find yourself being picked for events. You find yourself being picked for jobs. You find yourself plugged in, and people will like you. Remember, nobody can like what they don't know. So are you active in your space, or are you not active in your space? And I know that's a tough one. A lot of people tend to be iffy about, and that is so important, and that is a powerful way to progress. By the way, Sunshine has said something so profound. I just have to share what she said. She says, best is to take a picture with them, and as you introduce yourself, you send the picture to remind them. Very powerful way. I love that, Sunshine. That's what I do with a small intro on what I want to progress with the individual. So she does that. She says, let's take a picture. Then afterwards, later on WhatsApp, hi, this is, Rev Walter. Remember we met at such and such a place. I was so taken, and I'm so happy by what you do. And here's a reminder, just so that you put a name to a face. Then send the picture. Oh, yeah, okay. So then now they've got a mental picture of you. You see? That's brilliant, Andy Silva. I love it. And so here we are now. So what other ways can we increase awareness besides being an association member? Besides being actively plugged in to your space? Because a lot of people, like I keep saying, they're introverts, so they want to be plugged in. Nah, I'm a shy person. Nah, well, you will languish at your level if you're going to do that. You want to be plugged in and you want to be active. But another way to increase your awareness is through what we call subscribing to your journals. So every industry, especially the serious ones, have a journal. If they don't have a journal which they print physically, I mean, Zaki does that. But if you don't have a printed one physically, at least the next one they tend to do is the mailings. They send out professional mailings on a regular basis, which people can be able to get to know what's going on. So they are plugged in. I've deliberately plugged into so many places because I want to stay alert. I don't have time to go on social media and start scouring walls. I hate that. But I want to be plugged in. I want to know what's going on. So I've got so many alerts that I've set up just to know when there's a big event going on, I get to hear about it. I don't sit to watch the news, but I get to hear about it. And if it's important enough, I can go search for it. See that? So that way I am plugged in. So one thing I like to do is subscribe. So I have special emails. Don't subscribe with your normal business email because you will be overwhelmed and end up missing a lot of important messages. So I always tell people, have 2 email addresses. Have one which you use professionally for your work. Even if you can't afford to get a domain-based email, at least get something that's going to be exclusive for your work and work-related stuff. Then have a personal email. So now the personal email is where you can have personal emails. And then you could have a third email. These days, these things are free. So you can get a third email, which you just use for subscribing to different publications and notifications. So you have that separately. So have that separately so that you deal with, because some publications send daily they send stuff. Now you can't say I'm going to unsubscribe because you want to stay plugged in. So the best is just have a separate email that just to deal with all that mail, because there's going to be so much going there, even spam and all your subscriptions, and sometimes you pay for special services, so they go there. And then if you've got very special services which you pay for, which are serious enough, they go on your personal or they come on your business one. But make sure you have all this sorted out. I run a digital platform, so we do a lot of websites and digital platforms for a lot of clients. I'm almost, my client list is almost sitting at 50, maybe 60 domains and emails and all sorts of, I have a lot of people I work with because of the work we do as Destiny Peak Pro. And so that's a lot of emails that come as notifications from the websites. On average, I get 30 to 40 emails daily from the different websites I run, and there are many. So we have special emails for that. So I have a web manager at Destiny Peak Pro. So that's just dedicated to web-based notifications, which are plenty. Okay, my security protocols, my SEO, specialization stuff, whatever, it's all there. So do the same thing so that you don't miss important emails depending on which space you're in. So get several emails. I mean, today I'm giving mega hacks. Huh? This stuff I'm giving right now, this is a seminar. This is like 3,000-4,000 kwacha worth of data that I'm sharing right now. So if you're smart, you are taking notes, you are, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I know you should be like going mad just trying to capture what I'm saying. So in closing, we'll read some of the letters, the messages you sent. Follow key social media profiles and pages. This is another very important one. Identify people on social media that you think resonate with your message. And then when you've identified those individuals, then you follow them. So that means you actively begin to follow those individuals to ensure that you are up and alert with what's going on in your space. A lot of people have missed massive stuff because they don't do what I'm saying. They don't follow what I'm showing you. And so at the end of the day, that's what ends up happening. They miss so much of what's going on in their space. So make sure that you connect to these key social media profiles. So there are quite a number. And if you're smart enough, you can actually know and recognize them, and you will be able to benefit. I found, and by the way, the algo, it's easy to cheat the algo or to tune it. Stop liking useless stuff on social media and focus on liking what you think is beneficial to you. So when you start to do that on a consistent and regular basis, guess what happens? Then the algorithm, your world changes. It starts to only bring really important stuff that's important for you. And by the way, if you see, for example, certain jokes over appearing, instead of liking them, just shut them off. Just tap on the side. This also works with even platforms like TikTok, which is full of rubbish. So you can start to click and say don't like, or cancel or remove. You don't have to report, just remove. And when you remove, you will find that over a period of time, you will be able to actually clean up that world. It will start to look far more better and far more professional than it was before. So the secret lies in being very deliberate with your social media. I've also found, it's not like Facebook will stop you. So you can open 2 accounts. You can have what I call a goofing account. If you're the type who likes jokes and likes laughing and all that silly stuff, then you could have another email address open with an alias for your name, and you can like that useless stuff. But for me, because time is so valuable, I haven't got time to be goofing around on social media, because next thing you know, you'll spend hours on end and there's nothing to show. So what I prefer to do myself instead is to actually focus on what's important and to actually like what I like. And in that way, my whole social media platform changes. This is a very effective way of building what I'm saying, you will find that you actually be able to really run with this. Am I making sense? That's right. So as you see, I've been highlighting a few comments real quick as we close, but I want you to remember, I mean, in closing, I almost forgot to say this, societies as well. This is very important. Societies, and then those of you who are church active, get into the churches. Those of you in mosques, get into the mosque, be active there. Those of you who are in the temples and synagogues, get into those. You will be absolutely blown away by the number of people you can network with in your church. I'm closing, I'm done with this. You will be surprised. So a lot of people don't realize that, church isn't just for saying hello, hi. And here I'm speaking church in purely religious fashion. Church is also for fellowship. So you want to identify. For example, our colleagues, the Muslims, are very, very interested in that space. What they do is they also network at the mosques. So they're very good at that. They identify individuals and they make sure they create some kind of network, which they do, connect together. And so from there, they discuss business, they discuss common interests and things that they think they could do. And you will be surprised how much you are able to generate a lot of business just in a setup like that. You will also be surprised how you can be able to build very serious networks for business using a platform like that. So I always tell a lot of people that don't look down on these religious organizations, because you can use them for the purposes of furthering your business connections. For those of you that are like at the bottom of the ladder and struggling, you will be surprised how church circles can be the key to your elevation. You will be amazed how many people in those settings could actually be your destiny helpers. So make yourself seen, make yourself known, make yourself visible. And I always say this, what's the number one way of visibility? Volunteer. You see, people watch what you do when no one is paying you. And I know maybe it might sound like you're being a bit manipulative, but I assure you, people watch what you do when you are not being paid. And you will be surprised how many people will say, I like that brother. And when an opportunity comes through, they will jump in. Okay? So that is very, very important. So anyway, I'm done. I'm done now. So I will let you go. And tomorrow is it's Tuesday, so Sunshine is going to be on and she will be doing her thing. So make sure you tune in, same spot. All we do is we change the credentials, so we share them on our various platforms. So make sure you don't miss those, and you will be surprised what we are able to do together. So by the way, it totally slipped my mind. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe. I should have said it when we started. Apologies. But now tap your screen. You see on your top right hand corner the subscribe button. Click on that and then click on the notifications and you should be good. So from myself, I want to thank all of you for being part of what we're doing. And I am back again next week. And this time, you know what we're looking at? We're going to be talking about looking at how to manage your network of followers, fans, and acquaintances and how to leverage it. So I'll teach you very, very specific things around how to, manage that network. You will be blown away by the stuff I'll share. So from myself, thank you so much. Until tomorrow.